patrickcc. The leaked phone call that destroyed Papa John's life. By the one and only Patrick CC. Was that what you, Patrick?
Papa John Schnatter was once the trusted, smiling face of a multi-billion-dollar pizza empire. But one leaked phone call of him using a racial slur destroyed his company and reputation forever. And his response to the backlash could not have been worse, claiming that he spent nearly 2 years in a sort of racist rehab to stop himself from saying the slur.
And we've had 3 goals for the last 20 months to get rid of this N-word in my vocabulary.
Nigga, you had to go to rehab to stop saying the N-word, bro? Do you see what I'm saying, bro? Do you see what I'm saying, bro? Do you see what I'm saying? It's an addiction. For non-black people to say the N-word, it's an addiction. I don't understand, bro. And then they try to turn it on you. It's just a word. Why are you so hurt? It's just a word. If it's just a word, then nigga, why are you in rehab to stop saying it?
And dictionary and everything else.
And although this could be one of the worst ways to address a controversy in history, and there is no excuse for using...
Like, bro, this is the same thing with me, bro. I used to say that. I used to call women B-word. Well, not all women, but like on stream, I used to call women B words, bro, but I don't say it no more. I don't say it no more.
A slur, John constantly tried to convince the world that this was all a calculated setup by people who wanted him exiled from his company. And when you hear the full story, he might not seem that crazy. There are even a small number of OG Papa John's fans who think he is innocent and are campaigning to reinstate him as CEO. One thing everyone agrees on is that the pizza quality was much better when he was still in charge, because today they have seemingly abandoned their promise to make better pizza with better ingredients. Today we are going to assess the crash and burn of John Schnatter's career and reputation to determine if it was all a calculated setup. John Schnatter quickly developed a reputation for being a ruthless, no-nonsense businessman, but to compete with giants like Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Little Caesars, you aren't necessarily going to thrive by being a nice guy.
Hold on, Papa John's came out after all of that shit?
Ironically, his persona to the public was the happy-go-lucky, trustworthy spokesman for the company, which created a difficult-to-manage dynamic between who he actually was and who the public thought he was. John proved his entrepreneurial skills when he saved his father's business.
That nigga looks exactly the fucking same, bro.
From going bankrupt. Mix Lounge in Jeffersonville, Indiana was a local tavern that was desperately in need of a new business strategy in the early 80s, so John took over.
We cleaned the pool tables up, we cleaned the food up, we put handsome bartenders behind the bar. We had a euchre tournament on Thursday. We had a little King's Night on Tuesday. We had a pool tournament on Sunday. Just from the promotion to the food to, we were doing like $2,000 a week, and within 3 months we were doing $10,000 a week and doing $1,000 a week in pool table revenue.
And while John has said that fixing the bar was a dream, he actually hated the idea of running bars for a career. I didn't like the bar business. I didn't like all the fights, all the cussing, the drinking, but I loved running the business. John's real obsession was pizza. He fell in love with it while working as a dishwasher at a local restaurant called Rocky's Sub Pub.
And I was washing dishes at Rocky's, and I hated washing dishes. And so you weren't allowed to make pizzas unless you were a Fondrisi, Joe, John, or Frank Fondrisi. So they got a good write-up in the scene. The thing took off. And sure enough, I got promoted from washing dishes to making pizzas, and that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Schnatter brought his father's bar back from the dead, paid off...
I mean, I'm pretty sure John is rich at this point, right? After creating $1 billion pizza company, I'm sure he's okay if he doesn't ever come back or ever work another day in his life. Who knows?
The $60,000 in debts and started making pizzas in a broom closet to sell to the customers. The customers loved the pizza, and the demand got so high that John purchased the shop directly next door and established the very first Papa John's location. John was a 21-year-old dreamer who was willing to work until...
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Doing nothing all day sounds good when you have a job, but I couldn't imagine being, you know, either early retired because you made so much money, or like, let's say, for example, I make this my career, being home every single day. But technically, I wouldn't be doing nothing if I'm streaming and editing videos and getting them. Okay, never mind. Let's go back to just early retired. I couldn't imagine if you were early retired and just stayed home doing absolutely nothing all day. I think that's crazy. I think maybe you should go out every once in a while, blah, blah, blah. But when doing nothing all day does sound good if you have a job and you work a lot of hours, then it's like, okay, I can spend a whole day doing nothing. I'm going to feel good. But I don't know, man. Once you get to a certain point where it's like, damn, I've been home for like 3 days. I ain't do a damn thing for 3 days. Then it's like,
longer stand. He was always thinking of ways to make a better product as fast as possible for the best price. Like when he upgraded from Baker's Pride ovens that could make him $1,000 in a day to conveyor ovens that could make him $1,000 per hour without breaking a sweat. Once the first Papa John's location was earning $9,000 per week in revenue, John's confidence turned into what he even admits was borderline delusion.
I'm all pumped. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. We go down to Domino's, which is about 3 miles down the road in Grants Plaza. I walk in there. I'm 22 years old.
Sure.
We're doing 9,000. Yeah. I said, "What are you doing a week?" He said, "We're doing 6,000 a week." And I just basically looked at the guy and I said, "We're going to kick your ass in the whole world."
You said that.
Basically.
22 years old.
How I thought with one.
Okay, guys, I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking, bro, but I hate hearing that shit when people are talking in the mic and all you hear is, it bothers me.
Because we were whooping them in Jefferson, Indiana, we were going to beat them, but I thought that way, which is crazy.
John strategically stole the best parts of other great pizza chains to make Papa John's the best of them all. He liked the cheese from Mr. Gatti's Pizza. He liked the sweetness of the Greek's Pizzeria sauce, as well as how they fulfilled a large volume of orders. He studied a local bakery to learn how to get his crust perfect. And he was even an employee at Domino's to learn how to optimize the process from order to kitchen assembly line and then out the door.
That nigga was stealing everybody's shit, bro.
It was this obsessive need to make the best product possible, along with a cutthroat business attitude that allowed him to scale from 1 store to 5 to 10 to hundreds of locations.
I think resilience and persistency beats genius and intellect every time. Let's say you want to be a dentist. Sooner or later, there's going to be a dentist that was a dentist before you were a dentist that has made it. Well, human nature, then they start playing their golf. Then they start having their poker game on Tuesday night. Then they start closing alphas on Friday. And what it does, it gives a young entrepreneur like you that's a striving dentist that wants to be like the other dentist, it gives you that incentive. Sooner or later, if you outwork them, you're going to take advantage of the guy on the golf course. And they all get fat and happy. And so I call it soft. The concept of sitting on the couch, eating Doritos, watching TV, or drinking beer or Cokes. What a waste of life.
Maybe the big 3 pizza franchises doubted that Papa John's could become a real threat.
I see where he was going. But being a dentist isn't that something you're supposed to study for? I don't know if just like outworking somebody or just I think intellect is a pretty big part of being a dentist. I don't know.
And he was comfortable with being the underdog. However, in 1993, everything changed. Papa John's became a publicly traded company, and after their IPO, they generated $25 million in investment.
Like you can be working harder than another dentist, but if you're not performing better than the other dentist, what is working harder than the other one gonna do for you?
Which was plenty of money to open thousands of locations across the United States. This is where the real takeover began. Unlike competitors who used mascots or attractive logos to promote the brand, John made himself the official spokesperson of Papa John's. He came off as humble, hardworking, and honest.
He commissioned independent taste tests. Papa John's won big time. Maybe that's because our sauce is made with fresh-packed, vine-ripened tomatoes. Pizza Hut uses remanufactured paste.
Damn.
Claim to make a better pizza, but it's you, the consumer, who've decided.
The advertisements just kind of plainly said, we're better because people think we are better. It's that simple. But Pizza Hut was not happy with these comparisons.
Nope.
They sued Papa John's, but ultimately lost in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 5th.
I mean, it's like, bro, companies do that a lot, bro. They like, that's why you'll see, like, for example, like you'll see a commercial that'll be like, let's take it Charmin, right? Let's do Charmin, for example. They'll advertise their toilet paper, and then on the other side, it'll say leading competitor instead of a toilet paper brand name, because you like, bro, you gotta stop doing that shit, bro. Even Samsung did that shit, bro. But they did it in a more clever way. So they made this commercial where this guy goes up to an Apple stand. And he goes, do you guys have, or he didn't go up to an Apple stand. He went up to a fruit stand. He goes, hey, do you guys have apples? He said, no, we don't sell apples. Yo, and it was a Samsung commercial. I was like, yo, they're slick on this one, bro. But it made sense, but they weren't like Apple the brand. They were talking about the fruits. But we as customers, you know what they're talking about.
Circuit, which ruled that the slogan was puffery. The court said Papa John's claims weren't literally false and thus didn't violate advertising laws. But how much validity was there to the better ingredients slogan?
What really makes the ingredients from Papa John's better than those of the competitors? How do you really have better ingredients that make better pizza?
I think you say it this way: better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. Another good question. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. The reason our ingredients are better is because they cost more, and the reason they cost more is because they're real.
Well, it is true that none of the ingredients used were frozen, and every single pizza was made practically from scratch. Employees do everything in the store besides making the dough. The dough was hand stretched and formed for each order. None of the produce or chicken products on a Papa John's pizza is older than 7 days in the store, all of which is kept in a 36-degree cooler. Pork and beef products spend no more than 12 days in the same cooler. So yes, you could call the pizza
FIFO
fresh, but that still doesn't exactly clarify the quality of the ingredients. But Papa John's strategically keeps that a secret. You see, if you look on their website, you will see a simplified version of their ingredients they believe sound clean or natural. In the US, food manufacturers can legally omit certain additives if they are considered processing aids or present in trace amounts. That means corny. Papa John's could have tons of sub-ingredients like anti-caking agents, emulsifiers, stabilizers, or preservatives that they don't legally have to disclose. Melanie Warner of US News tried to investigate what makes their ingredients better. When I called Papa John's customer toll-free number, I was told that for additional information on allergen or nutritional info, I should leave a message with Connie Childs, who would return my call the next business day. I left 2 messages, but Connie never called. Public relations wasn't much help either. My emails and voicemails went unanswered. Ironically, most people seem to agree that it isn't actually the pizza that got Papa John's famous. It's their garlic sauce that you dip the crust into.
I can't lie, that garlic sauce is fucking crazy, bro. I remember the first time I had Papa John's, I was like, bro, this pizza's, I'd still prefer Domino's over Papa John's, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Then I had the garlic sauce, I was like, yo, I can see. Oh, and the pepperoncini, bro. The pepperoncini, bro, this shit fire, bro.
Which was an original recipe created at the very first store. These days, it is made with a slew of additives, mono and diglycerides, partially hydrogenated soybean oil, and the preservatives sodium benzenate and calcium disodium EDTA. So just because Papa John's used better ingredients didn't mean it was even considered remotely healthy. But Americans didn't care. By 1999, Papa John's had scored a 76 on the American.
Damn, McDonald's is lower than KFC? Whoa. Whoa. Oh, this is 2000. Okay, never mind. KFC was popping in the early 2000s, I would say. I don't see no Popeye. I don't see no Popeye. Burger King?
Customer satisfaction index.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, Wendy's in the early 2000s, my nigga. Man, that yellow
of countless other fast food giants. Their stock price was peaking around $8 per share, had over 2,300 locations, earned over $800 million in total revenue. By all means, Papa John's was here to...
Oh my God. Ow. Goodness gracious. $800 million in the year 1999? That nigga was balling, bro. Oh my God.
Stay, and John Schnatter was set for life. And even though John portrayed himself as the humble hard worker, there is no doubt he was enjoying his hundreds of millions. Schnatter moved the corporate office into a luxurious new headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. He purchased a massive piece of land and built a castle on the outskirts of...
Again, 800 mil in 1999. That's like maybe a good, that's maybe a good like 1.5 bill, maybe 2 in today's day.
Louisville, complete with what literally looks like a city built underground.
So right now we're 1 story below ground level, And what you could see here, it looks like a little city. This is incredible with the windows.
That's his house?
The door. But this is the garage. This is what's so remarkable about it. It kind of reminds me of the Forum shops at the Venetian with the painted ceilings. And the garage just keeps going down.
Oh, that's a ceiling, nigga? I thought that was the sky. Yep.
Venetian with the painted ceilings. And the garage just keeps going down. I mean, what I would do for a garage like this.
Success gave John Schnatter power, and he wasn't shy about using it. He wasn't just the boss, he was the king, and he admits that he was extremely stubborn and stern with his power.
But I'm literally like, it's my way, the highway. If you didn't do it my way, I was bad. It was a benevolent dictator with an attitude.
And although John's leadership and tenacity made for groundbreaking advancements in the company, such as being the first pizza company to accept online orders in 2001, ultimately his inability to do anything other than his way led to a steady decline in the business. After profits dropped 3 years in a row, the board decided it was time for John to step down. In 2005, they replaced him with Nigel Travis, former COO of Blockbuster. But Nigel only lasted 3 years as the head of Papa
Ooh, that's a bad idea too, because Blockbuster went out of... Alright.
John's, and Schnatter stepped back into the CEO position almost immediately. Interestingly enough, in the press release announcing Nigel's departure, they wrote, "We are pleased that John has once again agreed to lead the company, albeit on an interim basis, until we can identify a permanent replacement." It's interesting that the company seemed to want to move on from John's leadership. But why? This is the guy who built and led the company to be worth over $1 billion. Is he not the most suitable man for the CEO position? Why did they want to replace him so badly? Because to the public, John seemed to be more in love with the company than ever. He remained the spokesperson of the company, appearing in TV commercials, advertising stunts like completing the world's highest pizza delivery in history at the top of the Sears Tower.
You say John! Papa John! Papa John!
You see how easily impressed niggas used to be back then, bro? Oh my god, he delivered pizza to me on the highest floor of the Sears building. Woo! Nigga, that wouldn't even go viral on TikTok, bro.
And even throwing half-court shots in front of a sold-out Kentucky basketball stadium.
Mind you, he just did that with one fucking arm.
This guy did so many commercials, you would think he might actually show up to your house and personally deliver you a pizza when you ordered from your local Papa John's.
Pizza! We got pizza! I'm John with Papa John.
Hey, Papa's in the house.
How about some Papa John pizza?
And since the company was thriving due to his enthusiasm and the public's adoration for Papa, one wrong move could seriously damage everything. And as social media made it harder for any
Bro has no fucking lips, bro.
controversy to stay hidden, it was only a matter of time before we would find out why the leadership wanted him to step down years ago. That moment came in 2012 when John Schnatter criticized the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. He claimed that if the law went into effect...
There you go, Patrick. He said it. Affordable Care Act. Let's not skip over the fact that Obama's not the one who called it Obamacare. But that's beside the point. I'm not gonna get political on this shit. But yeah, I'm just saying, all you niggas that was like, yeah, let's get rid of Obamacare, and then figured out that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. Yeah, you niggas are dumb.
Papa John's would be forced to raise the price of their pizza by 11 to 14 cents per pie just to cover employees' health care. On an earnings call with shareholders, John said, "We're not supportive of Obamacare, like most businesses in our industry. If Obamacare is in fact not repealed, we will find tactics to shallow out any Obamacare costs and core strategies to pass that cost onto consumers in order to protect our shareholders' best interests." Of course, Papa John didn't support free healthcare because if Americans actually had access to doctors, they might finally realize his pizza is what's sending them there in the first place. The multimillionaire CEO who built his empire off blue-collar workers came off as tone-deaf, especially when he casually mentioned that franchise owners should just cut workers' hours instead of giving them healthcare. The controversy...
I swear to God, bro, that's literally what all these companies do, bro. That's what I'm saying. No matter how much you love your job, bro, if you were to die today, your job position, your position would be up faster than your obituary, bro. These niggas would rather cut employees than to give them health care.
Exploded into a massive news story.
Several people I spoke with said if it's going to cost them 3 extra cents to order a pizza so a Papa John's employee can have health insurance, they're fine with that. Others told me it's bad business.
Outrage sparked online. A viral Reddit post.
Yo, my nigga, these niggas are on an outrage. Not the people she just said, but like some niggas are on an outrage because 3 extra cents would go towards employees' health. 3 cents, bro. If I bought a pizza and spent 3 extra cents, it would go towards their employees' health care. And niggas is saying it's bad business. Oh my fucking.
Said there's plenty of places to get cheap pizza in the world. Anyone else ready to boycott Papa John's? This was one of the first moments where the public
Wait.
Anyone else ready?
Okay, I was about to say, is this saying that they shouldn't get paid healthcare, but he's for the healthcare.
Boycott Papa John's? This was one of the first moments where the public began to see cracks in the Papa John persona. And what you will notice is that both of his next major controversies happened almost the exact same way. Keep in mind that his Obamacare comments were made during an earnings call in 2012. Earnings calls are often recorded and transcribed for transparency. These calls can be described as semi-private. They're not necessarily public-facing, but they're usually accessible to a wide range of people: investors, analysts, other employees. So if a CEO says something controversial during one of these calls, it only takes one person to share it with a journalist, blogger, or TV personality for the whole world to know about it. John couldn't help himself but let his personal politics bleed into the conversation. Obamacare was a deeply divisive topic at the time, and that's because any attempt to create a somewhat reasonable healthcare system in the US has been a massive hot button issue. Then again, most of the opposers are not regular hardworking people, but rather rich oligarchs who are ultimately the ones that will lose billions in profit.
Literally, bro, it's insane. The people who are always against healthcare are always rich, bro. Can you get like, bro?
Profits because they have been taking advantage of citizens for decades. John clearly valued corporate profits over what many see as a fundamental human right, and it may have upset someone who was on the inside listening to that earnings call.
I like how you said that, Patrick. As many see as a fundamental human right, because you don't put your own opinion in there. So that niggas won't argue in the comments like, oh, you're this, that, and the third. You must have supported this, that, and the... Yeah, I see what you did there,
the
Patrick.
way this information exploded into the press
That's smart, bro.
Quickly felt almost surgical, as if someone who was on the other end of that call wanted the world to hear exactly how out of touch John really was. And this wouldn't be the last time something he said in what he thought was a private setting would make headlines. Because in 2016, his political comments about the NFL would cause even more public outrage. In 2016, racial tensions in the United States were
I just saw Trayvon. Oh shit. Okay.
Reaching new all-time highs. Many communities were still processing the acquittal of
Man, fuck this nigga, bro. Oh my gosh.
George Zimmerman, who shot 17-year-old Trayvon Martin while on neighborhood watch. We started seeing more funding for police body cams to ensure safety for both officers and citizens, and the divide led to the establishment and worldwide visibility of the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Americans weren't just frustrated. They reached a boiling point for generations of injustice, and millions were tired of staying silent. One man who joined the protest was San Francisco 49ers starting quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who refused to stand for the pregame national anthem and instead chose to sit.
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. This stand wasn't for me. This stand wasn't because I feel like I'm being put down in any kind of way. This is because I'm seeing things happen to people that don't have a voice.
The NFL issued a statement regarding the protest saying, quote, Players are encouraged but not required to stand during the playing of the national anthem.
Right away, everyone was divided on the issue. Some felt that Colin was perfectly in line to do what he did. There's no law demanding that you have to stand for the national anthem. However, others felt that Kaepernick had gone too far. The national anthem is traditionally there before the big game to salute those who died to defend the homeland. And to some, this was interpreted as an insult to those who made that unimaginable sacrifice. But this wasn't just one game. It was an ongoing protest that lasted well over a year. Many players in the NFL followed Kaepernick's
and then they blackballed the shit out of him, bro.
Lead, opting to kneel as a more respectful form of protest. The conversation around the players kneeling seemingly amplified every week, with many conservative NFL fans saying that the political focus was ruining the game. But NFL chief Roger Goodell was supportive of his players' First Amendment right.
Are you proud of Colin Kaepernick for taking this stand?
Listen, I support our players speaking out on issues that they think need to be changed in our society. We don't live in a perfect society, Matt. Our players have strong views about things. So I support our players speaking out against that.
Shout out Goodell.
But that's what the focus should be on, the changes he wants to see in our society.
Right, but are you proud or does it make you nervous when you see it?
Well, I think when our players speak out and they feel strongly and passionate about something, I think it's a good thing for us.
But once again, Papa John Schnatter felt that politics were messing up his profits. And on yet another earnings call, John blamed the NFL's handling of the protests for Papa John's...
Yo, Papa John's versus accountability.
Stock price falling around 10% in 2017. It's important to know that Papa John's had become the official pizza sponsor of the NFL in 2010, a partnership that heavily benefited them from the league's massive national visibility. Papa John's secured national broadcast and marketing rights, and many of their stadiums sold their pizza. But to suggest that the NFL players' protests had any effect on Papa John's pizza seemed like a bold and bizarre take. He said, NFL leadership has hurt Papa John's shareholders. This should have been nipped in the bud a year and a half ago. We're certainly disappointed that NFL and its leadership did not resolve the ongoing situation to the satisfaction of all parties this year and a half ago. He said in the earnings call, good or bad, leadership starts at the top, and this is an example of poor leadership. Not only was John criticizing...
I bet you NFL dropped that nigga faster than he could remember, bro.
A powerful business partner in front of investors, but he also was aligning himself with a divisive political stance once again. His comments sparked backlash from multiple sides. Some thought he was unfairly blaming the
brilliantly blaming NFL for its own terrible pizza.
NFL for his own...
When the pizza's so bad, you best blame Goodell and Kaepernick.
Incompetence as CEO. Some saw him as biting the hand that feeds him, as the NFL was massive exposure for the pizza chain. But ultimately, many saw him as extremely insincere, delusional, and possibly racist, unwilling to support Americans who are exercising their First Amendment right in solidarity for...
See, the thing is, it's crazy because, like, look, bro. You could say this a race thing, but you got two white men on the Dallas Cowboys. You got two white men on the Cowboys kneeling.
Black Americans. As you can imagine, the backlash for John's comments came in full force. The controversy even led to white supremacist groups.
Whoa, nigga. What the fuck?
Endorsing Papa John's as the official pizza of the alt-right, a title the company quickly and publicly disavowed. But still, the damage was done. 12 days later, after the company's stock had dropped 12%.
That was a Swazi on the pizza, bro. I don't know, man. That's crazy.
They took to Twitter to try to stop the bleeding. The statements made on our earnings call were describing the factors that impact our business, and we sincerely apologize to anyone that thought they were divisive. That definitely was not our intention. We believe in the right to protest inequality and support the players' movement to create a new platform for change.
Talk about PR fucking... Oh my God. Talk about a PR... reverse or not reverse, but talk about a PR backpedal. That's what I meant to say.
We also believe, as Americans, we should honor our anthem. There is a way to do both. This wasn't really much of an apology, but rather just a statement of things that we already knew. Once again, John's inability to keep his personal politics out of his professional life cost him and the company big. 1 month later, Schnatter resigned as CEO, but stayed on as chairman. Weeks later, a mutual agreement was met to terminate
I told you, bro. I bet you them niggas dropped that nigga fast as shit for the NFL pizza, bro.
Papa John's as the official pizza sponsor of the NFL. They would be replaced with Pizza Hut. The company was going downhill fast, but still with a chairman's seat, John Schnatter still had power. But he would, for the third time, say something on a conference call that would officially destroy his reputation forever.
That boy cannot keep his opinions off conference calls, bro. Nigga, these are conference calls. Corporate conference calls, bro. Keep the shit out of it, bro. Just talk about your fucking earnings. Talk about the conference. Talk about what's on topic.
After John's fight with the NFL, earnings were down by almost 50%. Brandon Roten, chief of marketing, felt it would be wise to reduce Schnatter's presence in TV advertisements, as well as reduce John's association with the company overall, since he was the sole reason Papa John's was ever in any controversy. It seemed like the company was looking to make John invisible, and he just couldn't handle the idea of being sidelined when he was responsible for all
those fucking niggas
of Papa John's success. After months of arguments with his internal team, his executives sought a compromise to try to make everyone happy. In order to get things under control, the board made an agreement that John could stay on as chairman and still be the face of the company under one condition: if he accepted coaching from a PR firm called Oslin & Gage.
Listen, bro, we'll let you keep your own fucking company if you can go to a PR training and coaching thing. Could you imagine that, though? Oh, you can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrifice? Bro, that's literally probably how he felt when he heard that he had to go to PR training, bro. Bro, that's always the craziest thing about shareholders, bro. Imagine making a company, you found a company, make it big, and now you're so big that you make the company go public instead of keeping it private. And now you have shareholders and you have a chair board or a board of chairmen, whatever the fuck. And those niggas can vote to kick you out your own fucking company. Could you imagine? Oh my.
Operating under the ad agency Laundry Service. Papa John's hired Laundry Service for a new advertisement strategy, and Laundry Service brought in their PR team, Oslin & Gage, to specifically coach Schnatter on how not to destroy the brand any further, and the goal was to train him in modern media.
Also, Patrick, doesn't that just say Olsen? You're saying Oslin or whatever.
Media etiquette and contain his public outbursts, and ultimately leave his personal opinions on politics out of the pizza business. But during one of those training sessions between Laundry Service and John, he said something so reprehensible that the PR firm decided they did not want to help him anymore. On July 11th, 2018, Forbes published a headline that spread like wildfire.
Oof.
Papa John's founder used N-word on conference call, and the clip of the conference call was released.
What bothers me is Colonel Sanders called blacks niggers. I'm like, I've never used that word, and they get away with it.
This was now the
I've never used that word, but proceeds to use it in quotation. You know what I do when I don't use a word, but I want to quote what somebody said? I'll say the sentence and then replace the actual word that I don't use with the letter it starts with. Yes, yo.
Third leaked phone call that made headlines. On the call, John and the PR firm were discussing his response to the NFL controversy. His suggestion that Colonel Sanders used to say the slur came off as deflective to his own offensive behavior.
I mean, let's be real. He probably did. I mean, Colonel Sanders probably did say that shit, bro. He probably did. But, like, bro.
There's his grandson, Trig Adams, responded to John's comments saying he's a weasel. Because he's prejudiced, he's trying to say somebody else was too. Sanders had absolutely no prejudice against anybody. There were a few people that initially tried to defend John, saying that his use of the word was actually him calling out racism, which, even if it was...
You don't use the word, though, still, bro. I mean, oh my...
This was a terrible way to express it. Him claiming that he never used the N-word in the same breath that he just let the slur roll off his tongue seemed delusional. And in the same day news broke that John said the slur, he resigned from the Louisville University board. The Cardinals Stadium announced they would be removing the name Papa John Stadium. The MLB cut all ties with the pizza chain, and Schnatter resigned as chairman of Papa John.
Yo, whoa! Damn, niggas losing everything, bro.
This was the official nail in the coffin for John's career and reputation. He issued an apology that nobody took seriously. News reports attributing the use of inappropriate and hurtful language to me during a media training session regarding race are true. Regardless of the context, I apologize. Simply stated, racism has no place in our society. But John didn't believe what he said in that apology. He actually did seriously believe that the context of this conversation was extremely important, and if the general public knew, they would believe he got set up. And honestly, the details do look a little suspicious. You also have to consider that just 8 days after Forbes published the racial slur controversy article, they released another article called The Inside Story of Papa John's Toxic Culture, which portrayed John as a controlling, vindictive leader who created a culture of fear and intimidation within the company. The article included anonymous accounts from former employees.
Okay, look, bro, I understand this nigga probably... I understand they probably try to make it look like he was set up. However, bro, if you don't actually use the word, you still wouldn't say it. You still wouldn't say it, bro. Okay, so white man, right? If I was a white man, thank God I'm not. Because okay, let me not even do that. If I was a white man, right? And I knew Colonel Sanders used the hard R. I knew Kanye West used the hard R. In my statement, I would say, well, Colonel Sanders and Kanye West both used the N-word with the hard R. That's how I would say it. Now, me being a nigga, I could be like, well, Kanye West and Colonel Sanders both used the word nigga with the hard R, bro.
Describing verbal abuse, sexual assault, and reinforcing that John wasn't just careless with his words, but toxic at his core. The details of both of these articles would require months of energy and effort to produce, so there is no doubt that Forbes choosing to release these articles within a week of each other was calculated. I want you to take note of the little details in this article that most people skip.
Got me feeling like Magneto when he sees Cloak and Dagger. Niggas!
Over. And that is all of the anonymous sources and them making claims that are almost immediately refuted. The article claims that John surrounded himself with loyalists by hiring his high school friend Tim O'Hearn as a powerful executive and his longtime associate Steve Ritchie as CEO, which created a bro culture at the top. Papa John's has effectively been a public company operated like it is privately owned. A veteran employee says, "Nothing is happening there unless John wants it to happen." They also go on to say that female employees were mocked and asked if they were menstruating. Male executives made references to gangbangs and comments about whether women wanted to jump on the train. Schnatter disputed most of this story. Papa John's did not respond to repeated requests for comment. Ritchie, for his part, did not respond to a request for comment, and O'Hearn contested portions of the story. The language here is key. Disputed most of the story. Contested portions of the story. This allows Forbes to cover themselves legally legally while leaving the reader unaware of what is actually true or not. Like, here's a classic example of them trying to claim that John would cheat on his wife. One former executive says the married Schnatter would disappear for days on work trips, stirring suspicion that he was, quote, hooking up with girls. Schnatter denies this. So they make a random claim from an anonymous source, and then John denies it. So now it's up for you to decide if it's real. But in theory, they could make up anything with anonymous sources and just let John deny it. Ironically, they even tried to pit executives against him, but it didn't work. Schnatter remained chairman, but was relocated to offices 20 minutes away, where he fought for control, contesting everything the new CEO did and forced board members to choose between him and his CEO. When Forbes asked Nigel Travis about it, he denied, stating, most of the time, John and I had a very cordial relationship. Here's another example. Over time, Schnatter started to visit the main campus more often to learn what was going on. He allegedly recruited Papa John's employees to spy on their colleagues. He read workers' emails, according to 2 sources with knowledge of the episodes, and sometimes conducted business from disposable phones. Schnatter denies that he accessed emails or recruited employees to spy on each other. Every claim they make is immediately refuted. They even had an extreme lack of evidence hinting at alleged sexual misconduct in the workplace, but published it anyways. During the trip, there was an incident with a 24-year-old female Papa John's marketing employee that resulted in a second confidential settlement and the employee's swift departure. 3 sources tell Forbes they know of additional settlements between Schnatter and women involving inappropriate conduct, though details could not be confirmed by public.
So now they're trying to say he be I'm not gonna do that. Never mind.
Time. A female employee says that Schnatter asked about her bra size and whether she'd slept with her previous boss.
Okay. So yeah. Okay, I am gonna say it. So they're trying to Harvey Weinstein this nigga, pretty much.
And that he never let her pass in a hall without giving her a hug. He denies this. It's going to sound like I'm vehemently defending this.
Uma hug it, hot Cheeto bitch. Just kidding, bro.
Guy. But this type of reporting does seem hard to take seriously, especially from a major publication like Forbes. So there was an incident with a confidential settlement, but the details couldn't be confirmed and John Schnatter denied. So we don't know what happened, why it happened, who it happened to, or how it was resolved. So why was that information published? The most interesting detail most people skipped over was no sources cited in this article approached us. All were contacted directly. So a 30-year-old multi-billion-dollar company with thousands of employees watched their CEO get into multiple major public controversies and allegedly had created a toxic workplace of fear, spying, and misconduct, and yet nobody approached the media to tell their story, but rather the media came to them looking for the inside scoop. And even still, at John's lowest moment, they couldn't get one person out of the hundreds of thousands of people that worked for Papa John's to publicly confirm any of their claims. But the general public did not focus on these details. To most people, John was a racist, a toxic ruler of a pizza empire, and possibly a assailant, which is why most people thought he absolutely lost his mind when he started publicly claiming that he was set up and that the day of reckoning will come, as he was now on a campaign to destroy the company he built for 30 years.
40 pizzas in 30 days? Nigga, whoa! Damn, nigga, what the fuck?
Destroy the company he built for 30 years.
I would just say, stay tuned. The day of reckoning will come. The record will be straight.
Why not set the record straight now? I mean, what is it about the record that's not straight?
Stay tuned.
How soon will that happen?
Stay tuned. Sooner than later.
This is actually really sad. He looks like he's on the verge of a mental breakdown and a path to insanity, all because of a pizza. The general public just laughed him off. They didn't know all of the complicated nuances of the situation. Even animators like Meat Canyon couldn't help but...
Not Meat Canyon. Oh, fuck.
Spend hours recreating the painful interview.
Not Meat Canyon gave him more lips than he actually has.
Will come. Judgment will be made. You will scream, but they will fall upon deaf ears. Cheese and bread will be the cornerstone of this utopian future. I will cover the world with my passion.
And every time John tried to defend himself, he just made it 10 times worse.
I mean, again, you have a public board that paints its chairman complicit, passive, or active. They paint the founder as a racist. They know he's not a racist. It's just unbelievable. And I used to lay in bed just going, how did they do this? And we've had 3 goals for the last 20 months to get rid of this N-word in my vocabulary and dictionary and everything else. Because
Got him. Red dot him. If you don't say the N-word, you're not racist. What do you mean it's in your vocabulary? What do you mean it's in your dictionary?
Because it's just not true. Figure out how they did this and get on with my life.
John didn't realize how stupid he looked that he was claiming to be set up and falsely painted as a racist, and in the same breath saying that he had to spend 20 months removing a racial slur from his vocabulary. The ironic part about all of this is that the controversy started with Papa John's executives forcing him to do PR training, and every time he spoke to the media, it was clear that he still desperately needed more PR training. But it was now 2 years after the racial slur controversy, and he was hell-bent on convincing the world that the laundry service agency manipulated him into saying something racist. John also thought the best thing to do was release the full conversation he had with the agency, saying that the public deserved the full context.
That made it worse, didn't it?
And I listened to the full, unedited, hour-long conversation, so here's the context. In May of 2018, a private conference call between John Schnatter and the laundry service-appointed PR firm was recorded without John's consent. In this meeting, they were planning for John to go on a press run, which included an interview with Stephen A. Smith, as well as a few podcasters, so John could clarify his comments about the NFL kneeling situation and ultimately apologize. John wanted to do this because he found out that his franchisees' businesses were suffering due to the world thinking he was racist for criticizing the NFL players for kneeling. On this phone call, the laundry service representatives were essentially simulating an interview. They asked John to speak freely about how he actually felt about the NFL kneeling situation, and then they gave him feedback on his choices of words, guiding him on what to say, what not to say, and how he can still remain true to his values while not making himself and the company look worse.
The NFL situation is not good for anybody, in my opinion, and I would have said it differently, so that in a way, certainly not to defend anybody that's kneeling, but to not further inflame the situation which I despise, which is the division of the country. That's how I would say it. Is that gonna hurt you guys?
I don't think it will hurt us, but I do think, if possible, we need to come up with some way to say that I would have acknowledged how the reason that people were protesting being an important thing we have to fix in our society, something like that.
Yeah, I think you lead off with exactly how I said it in the meeting. I wouldn't change what I said, but I would change how I said it.
And then what I mean, I can say that. What do I mean by that? You tell me. Yeah, what I mean. How would I say it differently?
All we can just give him.
I think would have given more explanation or call out exactly who you were targeting or call out exactly what you were referring to so that it didn't get misconstrued.
So you would say, listen, this has nothing to do with race. This is all about Goodell.
It's all about the NFL and the issues and how it impacts business and sponsors and things of that nature. Had absolutely
Well, shit, bro.
nothing to do with it.
As you can hear, they are talking strategy. Say this, don't say this, say it like that, etc. Now they went back and forth talking in circles for 40 minutes, and it's for one very simple reason. John was not actually sorry for his comments. He didn't agree with the kneeling. He didn't agree with the NFL not putting a stop to it, and he still felt that the NFL hurt Papa John's sales. He literally thought and said in this conference call that the NFL players kneeling was destroying the NFL and all of the brands associated with it. So John going on this planned media tour to talk about this NFL controversy all over again was not to try to express an honest apology. It was to try to carefully manufacture a new response that would be more acceptable for the public while not feeling like he was actually going against his values.
Yeah, when I talked to Fred Smith, Peyton Manning, the Redskins, the Cowboys, I said, listen, you guys have got to lose. This is no good for anybody, any of us. And then to Steve's point, I said, we got to find, 8 or 9 leaders in the country that are level-headed, not going to fly off, that will sit down with the players and get them what they want. At the same time, not, destroy the league, destroy the players' future income, destroy sponsors, destroy the fan base, etc. So you might, I like Steve, that's the truth of it. Lose, 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 win, win, win came up, and the whole time I was trying to get this matter resolved. So you might run with that one, because that is the way I talk. Yeah, because you're trying to provide a platform that has solutions for the players, solutions for the owners, and solutions for all the partners that are associated with the league. And that's what the NFL had created for years, and they had an interesting issue here. And what you want to do is try to help for all folks that have different issues that they're trying to solve for. And it was a problem that could be solved that unfortunately the leadership was not there. And as a leader of my own company, I want to try to help another leader solve the problem. I think everybody took notes, so why don't y'all compare notes, and then let's get through the next day or two and get it to where I'm comfortable talking to, he's going to ask a tough question. He's going to go, how do you feel about him kneeling? And, we got...
The fact that how you feel about kneeling is a tough question tells me everything I need to know, Papa John.
I find a good way of saying, well, I understand what they're trying to do, but I'm not sure that's helping anybody's cause.
Now, the PR firm, which we would ultimately find out, just straight up thought he was wrong. Now, PR firms are supposed to remain unbiased. Since they were being paid by Papa John's, it's their job to handle the public relations without inserting their own personal feelings into John's response. In a way, it's kind of like a softer version of a defense attorney. Like, at the end of the day, someone does have to defend somebody who's committed reprehensible crimes. And the PR firm was trying as hard as they could to figure out a plan for John.
That's why I feel like I could never be a defense attorney, bro, because like at the same time, like there are some people who are innocent and you want to defend those people, but there are some niggas who did that shit, bro, and you have to try and convince them that they didn't. I don't know if I can do that, bro. If I knew that a nigga, bro, because like, bro, I've watched Power, okay? I watched Power. I'm not like, bro, Angela, you think that I would know that you did that shit and still be like, yeah, bro, let me try and get you out of this? I mean, oh, nah, bro. I'm cool, bro.
To reapproach the media without making things worse. But John just kept rambling, and the PR firm was getting frustrated. It would make their job easier if he just said, I was wrong. I understand my comments came off as racist. I can assure you that is not who I am, but I've taken the necessary steps to educate myself, and I apologize to the NFL and the players who were...
Whole time Angie chasing Ghost. She was sleeping with that nigga. Yeah, okay.
Peacefully protesting. But he didn't want to do that because he didn't believe that. And when you listen to the call, you can tell he was pissed off that he felt like...
And she was a mistress too. That wasn't even... That nigga was married. Oh my... Okay.
He needed to censor himself because he thinks Papa John's does so much for the NFL. And at the very end of the call, he even questioned if he needed to clarify his words at all, essentially defeating the purpose of this entire hour-long meeting.
I mean, do you all really think it's a big deal to rectify what's been said? I certainly think we need to change the narrative. That's out there. I agree. I just wouldn't wait 8 months after the fact. Yeah. That's what I wouldn't have done. Like, Jesus Christ. If you're me, get counted, and we gave this NFL $40 million a year for the number one brand, and now all of a sudden we're over this is crazy. So, anyway, we'll see. Up in New York, we made a decision. We're going to go out and get killed again, and then I don't have to worry about doing that. And I got to tell you, heaven forbid this company if they're not going to use me at all. After I'm looking at this research, I mean, I'm just not seeing how you not tell the Papa John story and let them. What bothers me is Colonel Sanders called blacks and I'm like, I've never used that word.
I know after he said that shit, the whole room froze. Bro, because nigga, oh my.
And they get away with it. We use the word debacle and we get framed in the same genre. It's crazy. The whole thing's crazy. All right, John. All right, I'll come to you.
Yeah, they just literally walk out after that.
Point, the laundry service reps were officially pushed over the edge and abruptly ended the call.
Yeah, see, they literally just they just walk out after that.
Spent an hour trying to coach him, only for him at the very end to basically say, why are we even doing this? And then have the audacity to say that Colonel Sanders used to say the racial slur and that John never says it, even though he literally just...
Maybe Colonel Sanders didn't, but maybe, I mean, if he did, would I be surprised? No, bro. I wouldn't, but maybe he didn't. Who knows?
Just said it. After the conference call ended, the recording
Colonel
did
Sanders
not...
never been in no controversies. At least that I know of.
And you can hear the laundry service representatives debriefing where they express how frustrated they were and actually how they wanted him to now get exposed.
I hope he gets fucked.
I hope he gets fucked. Oh my gosh.
Really.
And a lot about him. They were very revealing.
Yeah, I mean, that's already all been revealed to me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go out and talk.
If you can't take even the most, like, simple, like, just acknowledge the fact, like, we find some empathy for the people why they're doing this protest, like, he wouldn't even pick up on that. Yeah.
But you can't just say that.
Did he actually say
I missed that as well.
Literally just said the Colonel Sanders said that.
He said he called them that word.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? These are probably all white people, right? And did he actually say the N-word? Yeah, he said Colonel Sanders said that. He said Colonel Sanders called them the N-word. If you dead ass don't use the word, you don't say the word in quotation of another person. Because they're quoting you and they're not saying the word.
He's fine. But all I did was say the Baco. And he has no problem saying that, but he can't say that he said anything wrong. Yep. It's crazy.
It's like, but the thing is he's all about like money, and to me, like the players saying that they're still going to protest because they're saying this is a real issue. It's not about money.
That's true. This is about an issue that's going on in the country, and he's only trying to apologize so he can get his fucking money up.
No
Insane.
one has said to him, dude, are you really not getting it? You are out of touch. Everyone, including us, are pandering a little bit to the man. No one is saying, you are actually out of touch. You cannot say these things. I get your empathy now about that you find it horrible.
He knows.
Yeah. Okay. Then he doesn't give a shit. Okay.
I just wanted to go and speak the truth. And I wanted to write down the bullet points and then let him go. We just have to make sure it's an hour-long conversation so that he says here. He's going to come out. He can't control it.
I want the person interviewing him to even though he knows to not say those specific answers. I want that to come out too. Like I want to come out now, even though he starts spiraling. Yeah, like I want whatever we recorded to be like the actual interview.
I already spoke to John Schnatter. Said he gets it. He said he'll only do it if he can ask all the hard questions and really talk about all the hard issues, and he'll do it for an hour on Twitter Live, and he'll let people ask questions.
As you can tell, the PR firm was fed up. They straight up felt that John was wrong, that he could not accept it, and that he was a racist. And now actually, instead of helping him, they planned on setting up interviews where he would be asked really tough questions, hoping he would speak exactly like he did on the private phone call.
Okay, that is kind of crazy. They low-key tried to set him up, but for good reason though. See, they did set him up, but it's for good reason. They found out, okay, there really just ain't helping this nigga. There really is no helping this nigga. How about we put him on these interviews and he exposes himself? Simple.
To expose himself to the world that he is a racist. But they actually just sped up the process. They didn't schedule any interviews and instead leaked the audio of him saying the N-word to the press out of resentment. And John tried as hard as he could to express to the public that he wishes he didn't say the actual word, but rather the phrase.
Oh my God, imagine coming out and trying to backpedal your way in front of a black woman
that represents the slur.
The context.
Unless that's Candace.
Was used as a contrast. I never used the word. This guy uses the word. I never used that word. It was to make a point.
Do you think that...
Okay, it's not Candace.
It's possible to not have racist intent, but still have racist impact?
I think if you use a racial slur, you have ill intent. You know, I
but
think...
you did... John... I think if you use a racial slur, you have ill intent. Okay, so even if you quote somebody, then use the slur, that means you have
You cite the word as an example, don't use that word. I don't think that's ill intent. I think that is anti-racist. Absolutely.
Would you agree that the N-word, the real word, is arguably the weightiest word in the English language? And I'm wondering if you felt that only in the aftermath, or if at the time when you said it, you knew the power of actually stating the N-word. Because if you had just said the N-word, we probably wouldn't even be talking about this right now.
Right. I think the reason I was using it in the context and the reference I was is because I despise the word. Don't use that word. I never use the word. If I had over it again, would I not use the word? Absolutely.
Do you think that you exercised good leadership by using the actual word?
If I
had That's a rage bait question.
Good leadership by using the...
She stumped the shit out of that nigga, bro. That was a rage bait question.
The actual word?
If I had it over again, I would use the N-word instead of saying Colonel Sanders actually calls black people the word. I definitely would use the N-word.
So was this all a setup? Well, there is nuance.
I definitely would use the N-word. Bro, what am I watching?
Consider. Yes, the media expose seems to have been set up by the laundry service PR firm and Forbes. However, John was not pressured or manipulated into saying anything.
Yeah, I mean, after listening to the conversation, he just brought that shit up on a whim. He went into talking about New York and this, that, and the third. And then, I mean, Colonel Sanders called blacks blank. Oh, whoa. All right, John, we'll see you later then.
Racist. That was his own volition. He expressed his true feelings about the NFL protests ad nauseum, and he chose to just randomly say a racial slur, unprovoked, and pass it off as criticism of a dead guy. But John Schnatter relentlessly pursued a lawsuit against Laundry Service, and after battling for over 4 years, Laundry Service tried to get the case dismissed, but the judges kept ruling in John's favor. Laundry Service leaked a partial, deceptively edited excerpt from a private coaching session to Forbes, intentionally distorting comments Schnatter made against racism and reversing their meaning to harm the Papa John's founder and the iconic brand he built over 34 years. Laundry Service subsequently provided a doctored tape of the conference call to Papa John's International with several crucial minutes deleted. The case was ultimately settled out of court in John's favor. So yes, John was set up in regards to how this information got to the public. Yes, he is a terrible communicator, but whether or not he is actually racist is up for you to decide. And even 6 years after he has been removed from any and all operations from the company, sold off a lot of his stock, he's still doing podcasts and interviews today, being extremely critical of the Papa John's brand, claiming that the quality of the Papa John's pizza has gone significantly downhill since he left the company.
Going from a hand-tossed dough to where they now do it with a machine. So they actually like a patty, place it down, and so you lose that authentic, really where the dough.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I agree with him here, bro. Hand tossed pizza is so much better than that fucking just rolled
kind of rises
from a machine.
This still wouldn't be an 8 pizza. This would be
6,
probably a 7 pizza, maybe
7 out of 10. You're saying
7 out of 10. If it's not an 8, you're not supposed to serve it. This product wouldn't be an 8 either. But at least it's got toppings on it. But again, see, there's not toppings out to the edge. But if I'd have been CEO and these would have come, this would have been a huge disappointment. These would have been sub-7 pizzas. Today, they're probably, what I've seen of Papa John's the last 16 months, these are actually some of the better ones I've seen. But again, you're not going to be able to differentiate between a Pizza Hut and a Papa John's. But let's see what the other 2 players come in. That's another thing I think they've done. I think they've definitely changed the crust, but it doesn't taste the same.
Would you pass?
I don't know if they changed the sauce, but something of the product doesn't taste.
The one from Papa John
doesn't taste like the original pizza.
Doesn't.
They've changed the recipe. They've done something. I don't know exactly what they've done. I know they changed the dough recipe so they could make it softer to spin it out with the machine. But that doesn't taste like our sauce. So I don't know if they went to a paste sauce or if they put something else in there, but it does not taste like the original recipe, in my opinion.
John's continuous attempts to clear his name seem less about genuine growth and more about personal vindication, driven by a bruised ego and inability to accept responsibility for his own actions. Then again, it's easy to see why he would be resentful when the business he dedicated 35 years of his life building got destroyed by a calculated setup from people he hired to protect him.
Hey, bro, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Ooh, the origin of Emma Frost. I might watch that. Oh, there's a new Maddie Balls video? Yo! Okay, we're gonna have to watch that later. W video Patrick. As always, I'll see you next Monday, my boy. And I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Because, the reactions. You know what I'm saying, bro?